My husband's family set me up by planting fake cheating evidence and forcing him to choose. He glared at me and whispered, "I knew you'd betray me." I begged him to listen, but he signed the divorce papers instantly. Weeks later, he discovered the truth, and when he showed up at my door, my new husband opened it instead. I married Daniel 5 years ago. He was my best friend, my rock, my everything. We had a good life together. Not perfect, but we loved each other. Or at least, I thought he loved me. I should have known better because his family always hated me. His mother, his two sisters, even his cousin. They all looked down on me because I came from a working-class background, and Daniel's family had money. Not crazy rich, but definitely upper class. I never fit into their world, and they made sure I knew it. They made comments about my clothes, the way I talked, my job. His mother would always say things like, "You did well for yourself, dear." Marrying up is an art form, isn't it? As if I was some gold digger. It didn't matter that I worked full-time, that I paid half of everything, or that I loved Daniel for who he was, not his bank account. In their eyes, I was beneath them. For years, Daniel would tell me to just ignore them. He never stood up for me the way I wanted him to, but he always told me that he loved me, that they didn't matter. And like a fool, I believed him. Then, everything fell apart. It started small. Little things. Daniel's mother, Mary, started dropping hints about how distance could ruin marriages. How women who spent too much time away from home always seemed to find trouble. I was working extra hours at the time, saving up for a house we had planned to buy. I didn't think much of it. Then Daniel's sister, Rebecca, started asking weird questions. Stuff like, "Are you and Daniel good? He's been acting really off lately." When I asked him about it, he said she was just being dramatic. Then there were the accidental texts. His cousin, Jake, sent him a screenshot of an email where my name appeared in some sketchy conversation. It looked like I was emailing some guy, flirting. The messages were vague, but enough to plant doubt. Daniel asked me about it, and I laughed it off because I had never seen that email in my life. I told him it was fake. He believed me. At least, I thought he did. But the messages kept coming. Screenshots of texts. A blurry photo of someone who looked like me at a bar with a man's arm around her. A receipt from a hotel I had never been to. Every time, I swore up and down it wasn't me. I begged Daniel to see reason, to trust me. But I could see it in his eyes. The doubt. One night, he came home drunk. He stared at me for a long time before saying, "If I ask you something, will you be honest with me?" I felt sick. Of course. "Are you cheating on me?" I had never even looked at another man the way I looked at Daniel. I felt my stomach drop. I told him no. I swore it. But he just nodded like he had already made up his mind. That's when his family made their final move. 2 days later, I woke up to banging on the front door. I ran downstairs, still in my pajamas, and found Daniel standing there, pale and shaking, with his mother behind him. She was smirking. Daniel threw a folder at my feet. Inside were printouts, emails, texts, pictures. A full record of my supposed affair. I flipped through them, my hands shaking. Some of the texts had my name, but I had never sent them. The emails came from an address I didn't recognize. The pictures, some of them were me, but edited. My face, pasted onto someone else's body. I looked up at him, horrified. "Daniel, this is fake. You know me. You know I wouldn't do this." He clenched his jaw. His mother placed a hand on his arm. "Don't let her manipulate you, honey. We warned you." I turned to her. "You did this. You set me up." She smiled. That smug, triumphant smile. "Daniel, sweetheart, let's go inside. Let's get this over with." Over with? Daniel walked past me, into the house, sat at the kitchen table, and pulled out a stack of papers. Divorce papers. Already signed. I couldn't breathe. I looked at him, desperate. "Daniel, please. Look at me. You know this isn't real. You know me." He stared at me for a long time. Then he whispered, "I knew you'd betray me." That broke me. I begged. I pleaded. I swore on my life that I was innocent. But he just shook his head. I don't even remember signing the papers. I only remember Mary's smile. Daniel moved out that night. Within days, I was erased. His family made sure of it. He blocked my number. I lost mutual friends overnight. It was like I had never existed. I fell into the worst depression of my life. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I went over everything 1,000 times in my head. How could he do this to me? How could he believe them over me? Then, weeks later, something happened. Rebecca, his sister, called me. Out of the blue. At first, I didn't want to pick up. But something told me I needed to. She was crying. And then she said the words that changed everything. "They set you up." I have proof. Mary, Jake, and even Rebecca had been in on it from the start. But Rebecca had a conscience. She broke first. She told me how they faked the emails, how they hired someone to take pictures of a woman who resembled me, how they used Photoshop to alter images. She even had voice recordings of them planning it. She sent me everything. And I lost it. I sent it all to Daniel in one email. No words, no explanation. Just proof. I expected a response. I expected him to call, to show up, to apologize. He didn't. Not at first. Days passed. Weeks. I forced myself to move on. To really move on. And then, just when I had finally started to rebuild my life, there was a knock at my door. I opened it, expecting a delivery. Instead, I saw Daniel, looking devastated. But before I could say anything, my new husband stepped beside me. And Daniel's face went white. For a long moment, no one spoke. Daniel just stood there, his eyes darting between me and the man beside me, my new husband, Alex. I could see the exact moment realization hit him. The way his breath caught, the way his shoulders tensed. He wasn't expecting this. He thought he could just show up, and I'd still be his to reclaim. That I'd been sitting around, waiting for him to forgive me. He was wrong. I crossed my arms and leaned against the doorframe. What do you want, Daniel? His throat bobbed like he was swallowing glass. Can we talk? Alex glanced at me. He didn't say a word, but his presence alone was enough to remind me I wasn't alone anymore. And Daniel? He hated that. His hands curled into fists. His gaze flickered to Alex's wedding band. Good. Let that sink in. Whatever you have to say, I said, you can say it here. Daniel exhaled sharply. I know the truth, all right? His voice was thick, like he had spent nights drowning in regret. I know what they did. I know you never cheated. The words should have made me feel something. Relief, vindication, maybe even a flicker of old love. But I felt nothing, because it was too late. I tilted my head. Took you long enough. His jaw tightened. I was stupid. I should have believed you. I should have, yeah. I cut him off. You should have. Silence stretched between us. I could see the emotions warring inside him. Anger, shame, something that looked a lot like jealousy. He kept glancing at Alex, like he wanted to punch him just for existing. Then, he made a mistake. How long? His voice was sharp. How long after me did you move on? Alex tensed beside me. But I smiled. Because Daniel had no right to ask. Does it matter? I asked. You made your choice, remember? His lips parted, but no words came out. He had made his choice. And now, he had to live with it. But Daniel wasn't the kind of man who liked losing. And I could see it in his eyes, this wasn't over. For the next few weeks, Daniel kept reaching out. Emails, texts, even a letter. He was desperate. I ignored them all. But then, strange things started happening. Someone slashed Alex's car tires in the middle of the night. Someone sent an anonymous email to Alex's workplace, claiming I had cheated on him, too. That I was a liar. A manipulator. That I was repeating history. Then I started getting texts from a blocked number. Messages like, how could you replace me so fast? Did you ever love me at all? You'll regret this. I had a very good guess who was behind them. Alex wanted to go to the police. But I told him to wait. Because if Daniel wanted to play games, I was ready to win. One night, I did something reckless. I texted Daniel from an old number he didn't know I still had. I told him I wanted to meet. Alone. He responded immediately. Send me a location, a quiet park, late at night. Predictable. I didn't go alone. Alex parked a block away, out of sight, ready to call the cops if things got ugly. I had a small recorder in my pocket, just in case. And when I finally saw Daniel, standing under a dim street lamp, I knew this was a man who had nothing left to lose. You actually came, he muttered. I shrugged. You've been harassing me. Thought I'd give you a chance to say whatever you need to say, so you can finally move on. His eyes darkened. You moved on too fast. That's none of your business. His jaw clenched. Was it ever real? His voice cracked. What we had. That hit me in the chest. Because yes, it had been real. But he had let them destroy it. I didn't answer. Daniel exhaled sharply. I miss you. For the first time, I saw real pain in his eyes. Not anger, not entitlement, just loss. But it didn't matter. Because he had chosen this. I took a deep breath. Daniel, I'm happy now. Let me go. His face twisted. I can't. Something in his voice made my skin crawl. And then he reached into his pocket. For one wild second, I thought he had a weapon. My heart slammed against my ribs. But it was worse. It was our old wedding ring. And then he whispered, leave him. Come back to me. That's where I leave it for now. Because things are about to get a lot messier. Daniel isn't the type to let go easily. And I know his family is lurking in the shadows, waiting for the chance to sink their claws in again. But what they don't realize, I'm not the same woman they destroyed. I'm stronger now. And this time, I'm the one playing the game. I stared at the ring in Daniel's palm, my stomach twisting. This was insanity. He thought he could just undo everything. That holding out some old wedding band would erase what he did. I took a slow step back. Daniel, put that away. His grip tightened around the ring. You still love me. I know you do. A laugh bubbled up in my throat, sharp, bitter. You don't know anything. His jaw clenched. His entire body was rigid, like he was holding himself back from doing something stupid. You think you're happy with him? His voice dropped, turning venomous. You think this is real? I forced myself to stay calm. Yes, Daniel. I do. His eyes flickered with something dark. You don't even know who he really is. A chill crawled down my spine. Because that was unexpected. I shook my head. Don't start with this. But Daniel smiled. And it wasn't right. It wasn't sadness or regret. It was triumph. Ask him about Miami, he said. I froze. Miami? Daniel watched my reaction closely, eyes sharp like a predator that had just found its prey. You never wondered why he moved to this city so suddenly? Why he doesn't talk about his past? I hated that he was planting this doubt in me. But worse? I realized I didn't know much about Alex's past before we met. We'd been together for a year now, married for 3 months. He was kind, patient, everything Daniel wasn't. But I had never pressed him on his past relationships. He always brushed them off, said they didn't matter. But now Daniel was looking at me like he knew something I didn't. And that scared me. I stormed into our apartment that night, slamming the door behind me. Alex looked up from the couch, startled. Hey, what's wrong? I didn't even hesitate. What happened in Miami? His entire body went still. And right then, I knew. Daniel wasn't lying. Alex had secrets. He stood up slowly. Where did you hear that? I swallowed. So it's true. A muscle in his jaw twitched. It's complicated. Uncomplicated. For the first time since I met him, Alex looked nervous. And when he finally spoke, my world shifted again. I was engaged, he admitted. A long time ago. In Miami. I felt my stomach drop. And Alex exhaled, running a hand through his hair. She disappeared. My breath caught. What? One day, she was just gone. His voice was tight. No goodbye. No explanation. Her apartment was empty, her number disconnected. It was like she never existed. I stared at him. And you never found out why? His lips pressed into a thin line. I tried, but there was nothing. It was like someone erased her. A shiver ran down my spine, because suddenly I wasn't just thinking about his ex-fiancé. I was thinking about me, and how Daniel had almost erased me from my own life. I barely slept that night. My mind wouldn't stop spinning. I knew Daniel's family was capable of destroying lives. But what if they had done it before? What if Alex's ex-fiancé was another victim? The next morning, I did something I never thought I'd do. I called Rebecca. She answered on the first ring, her voice wary. I was wondering when you'd call. I gripped the phone. You knew. A long pause. Then, not everything, but enough. My pulse pounded. Was it your family? Did they make her disappear? Rebecca inhaled sharply. I can't talk about this over the phone. I felt my blood run cold. Because that meant yes. This isn't just about me anymore. It never was. I don't know what happened to Alex's ex, but I will find out. Because if Daniel's family had something to do with it, then they didn't just ruin one life. They've been doing this for years. And now? I'm going to make them pay. For the next few days, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was walking on the edge of a cliff. Daniel's words about Alex's past haunted me. Rebecca's fear on the phone confirmed it. There was something my ex-husband's family wasn't just capable of, but had done before. I needed answers. And I needed them now. I started digging. Alex had told me his ex-fiancée's name, Natalie Carter. A quick search showed nothing. No missing persons reports. No old social media accounts. It was like she had been wiped clean. Just like me. I called every number I could find linked to her old address in Miami. No one answered. Until someone finally did. An old landlord. Yeah, I remember her, he said. Real sweet girl. Quiet. Paid on time. Then one day, her rich fiancé came by, said they were moving, and my heart stopped. Wait. I clutched my phone. Her fiancé? You saw him? Yeah, big guy. Well-dressed. Real intense. Think his name was, the man hesitated. Something with a D? Maybe David? Daniel? I felt like I had been punched in the gut. It couldn't be. Daniel was engaged before me? He never mentioned it. And if it was his fiancée who disappeared, that meant my worst fear was true. Daniel's family didn't just frame me. They erased her first. I needed proof. I needed Rebecca. I drove to her house, not even sure what I would say. She opened the door looking pale, her eyes darting around like she was afraid someone had followed me. I know, I told her, skipping the small talk. Natalie Carter. My ex-husband was engaged to her before me. Her face drained of color. Let me in, I said. Now. She hesitated, then pulled me inside. I wasn't prepared for what she told me next. Rebecca sat on the couch, her hands shaking. I was just a teenager when it happened, she whispered. But I remember Natalie. She was so nice. Daniel was obsessed with her. I felt sick. Just like he was obsessed with me. She didn't fit in, Rebecca continued. Our family hated her. My mother, she shuddered. She kept telling Daniel she wasn't wife material. That she'd betray him. My skin crawled. Then, Rebecca said, Natalie started getting accused of things she never did. She lost her job. Her bank account was drained. She had no one. My God. They broke her down, Rebecca whispered. And when she wouldn't leave him, when she wouldn't beg for forgiveness, she hesitated. She disappeared. I finished for her. Rebecca nodded. A heavy silence filled the room. My stomach twisted. What happened to her? I demanded. Rebecca's voice was barely a breath. I don't know. I barely had time to process before there was a knock at the door. Rebecca jumped. Her eyes widened in terror. You didn't tell anyone you were coming, right? I shook my head. But then the knock came again. Harder. Louder. Then Rebecca. Open the door. Daniel's voice. My blood ran cold. Rebecca froze. I motioned for her to be quiet, but she was already shaking too hard. The door burst open. Daniel stood there, eyes wild, breathing hard. You shouldn't have come here. His voice was low, dangerous. Rebecca clutched my arm, her whole body trembling. Where is she, Daniel? I asked, forcing my voice to stay steady. What happened to Natalie? His jaw locked. He didn't answer. Because he didn't need to. His silence told me everything. That night, I sent everything I had, to the police, to reporters, to everyone. The forged cheating evidence against me. Rebecca's confession about what they did to Natalie. Photos of Daniel and his family in Miami, connected to Natalie's last known location. I posted it everywhere. Daniel tried to call me. I didn't answer. Then his mother tried. Then his lawyer. By morning, it was viral. Rebecca agreed to go on record, naming her mother as the mastermind. And within 24 hours, police were officially reopening Natalie Carter's missing persons case. Daniel's family went silent. I mean, completely silent. For people who were always in everyone's business, it was eerie. Then, 2 days later, Daniel was arrested for fraud and falsifying evidence for what they did to me. More charges were coming. And for the first time, he couldn't buy his way out. His mother, his cousin, all of them under investigation. And Natalie? A new witness came forward. A former housekeeper who had worked at Daniel's mother's estate in Miami. She remembered Natalie. And she remembered the night she left. She saw men dragging a struggling woman into a car. She never saw her again. But now, with everything coming out, she wasn't afraid to talk. A month later, I stood outside my apartment, watching the news. Daniel's trial was coming. His mother's empire? Crumbling. Natalie's case was officially reopened as a homicide investigation. And me? I was free. Alex wrapped his arms around me, pressing a kiss to my temple. You did it, he murmured. No, they did it to themselves. And for the first time in a long time, I felt at peace. Weeks later, I received a letter. From prison. From Daniel. I almost threw it away. But something told me to read it. It was short. 3 sentences. I loved you. I was wrong. But you were always meant to be mine. No apology. No remorse. Just one last reminder of who he really was. A monster. I set the letter on fire. And I never looked back.